Hello my friends and welcome back. It's Monday, so happy Monday to you. We'll begin with the biggest topic which has been lately, the allowance of Western weapons to be used on Russian soil. There was a change from last Friday for United States HIMARS to be used around Kyiv region, for example in Belgorod area and Kursk area, and Ukraine has really been using it. There's kabooming all over the place, Russian ammunition storages and troop gathering grounds, and actually military bases are going haywire, knocked out cold. But we'll start with a connected topic. Many of you say that Storm Shadow and Scalps, French Storm Shadow or United Kingdom Storm Shadow, they have been allowed to be used on Russian soil from the beginning of the donation of these weapons. Actually, that is not true. For example, France has not officially allowed Scalp missiles, which are Storm Shadow missiles, to be used on Russian territory. Now we have anonymous sources from the French Ministry of Defense saying that this declaration will come very soon, that they will allow it, but they haven't done it yet. Now this is weird because Macron has sent the French Foreign Legion's instructors to Ukraine, which is like penetrating all of Putin's red lines there are, but they have not allowed Scalp to be used on Russian soil. I'm sure this will change very fast. I don't think French are really against it, just the official communication hasn't come through yet. But this next one is real. Belgium, with their 30 F-16s that they will donate to Ukraine, they just announced officially that they will not allow these planes to be used on Russian airspace or Russian soil, or to shoot down any target in Russian airspace, which pretty much renders these planes half efficiency, half capability. A huge portion of their capability is their radar and range and the forward projecting firepower that they have, but now they cannot use it because they cannot shoot into Russian airspace. What is weird though is that Denmark and Netherlands said that they will allow their planes to be used in Russian airspace and to shoot down targets inside Russian airspace. So if Belgium doesn't allow and Denmark and Netherlands do allow, how do you make a difference? Who is actually controlling the different F-16s? I guess Ukraine will have to keep them at different bases and the crews have completely different doctrines. For example, if there are targets on Russian airspace, only the crews fielding Netherlands and Denmark F-16s will be scrambled, and as soon as the target penetrates Ukrainian airspace, only then will the Belgium F-16s rise up into the air. You actually have to have different doctrines for the same planes because the countries don't allow them to be used in the same way. This is bizarre. Or now let's take Germany. They still have not allowed most of their weapons to be used on Russian territory. They have allowed some, but not most. But everybody bashes Germany, and now they come out with a communication that they will hand over another Patriot battery and 500 million euros for the Ukrainian army. I mean, bash the Germans as much as you want. They are leading in donations of Patriots and air defense systems, which is very necessary because it translates to civilian lives saved directly for the Ukrainians. So they are leading in many areas that need to be covered for the Ukrainian capabilities. So I would be hesitant to bash them so much. I know everybody also likes to hate on Olaf Scholz. I gotta give my respect to the Germans because as someone who has been under Russian missile and drone attacks multiple times in Kyiv, I know how important their defense is, and they are leading in that field. So I gotta give the respect here. As you understand, this segment of the video right now is about countries who support and countries who support with restrictions or who allows and don't allow their weapons to be used on Russian soil. So the next one we take up is Sweden, because Sweden and Ukraine just signed the bilateral security agreement cooperation. This cooperation includes Swedish support amounting more than 9 billion euros from 2022 to 2026. Sweden will stand by Ukraine for as long as it takes. That's the official message of the Swedish officials. Now, with Sweden signing this, all of the Nordic countries have actually signed this bilateral security treaty. It is important because Putin's whole gamble and Russia's whole gamble is that the West will get tired, but more and more countries are signing these long-term security agreements and cooperation treaties, which means it's not about when you get tired, it is about forward-looking to the next decade of military support towards Ukraine. It's not only 2024 or 2025, it's 2030. What is these Nordic countries' idea for supporting Ukraine in 2028, for example? They are thinking about it and setting up these plans, and support for Ukraine is right now agreed at least upon a decade, and there will be more. But most of these treaties go up to 2030. So there is no short-term getting tired of this war. The West and the European countries have decided to support Ukraine for as long as it takes. So this part of Putin's gamble has failed. And now, my friends, we'll get to the most juiciest parts, because United States last Friday allowed Ukraine to use HIMARS systems in Belgorod region in Russia, Belgorod Oblast, which is right above Kharkiv, and this is where most of Russia's logistics is operated on. This is where most of Russian troop gathering areas are, training grounds are, armored vehicles, because Russians know that the United States hasn't allowed it before, so they haven't had to worry about where to place their troops, how to conduct their logistics, because nobody could attack it. But this changed last Friday. And this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, oh boy, there was fireworks in Belgorod, so much. A Russian supply base in the industrial district of Shebekino, Belgorod region, Russia, was wiped out this morning. In the debris field, parts of a missile can be seen. Russian missile, that is. Russian propaganda initially claimed that a civilian market was hit, but the location is neither civilian nor the debris seen on the pictures. This is supposedly an Iskander launching platform and a Russian military base. So this is a huge loss for the Russians, and this communication that the United States suddenly allowed HIMARS to be used came as a complete surprise, because if the US had announced it before, the Russians could have removed all of this, removed the logistics and reoperate them, re-strategize them, but they couldn't do it because this was a surprise. And now, one by one, kaboom, bada bim, bada boom, everywhere Russian logistics and military bases are exploding in the vicinity of about 100 kilometers of the Belgorod Oblast. A look on the map where this is right across the Ukrainian border, but this area is filled with targets, filled with them, not properly camouflaged, not properly defended, because again, the Russians were not ready for this. It proves that Ukrainian forces are starting to destroy Russian military support bases for their incursion in Kharkiv region. And I felt exactly like this first comment, because I remember I covered this war from the first day, every day. It is like 2022 June all over, when HIMARS initially came to the party. Just this time it is bases and ammunition depots in Russia that goes boom. It is. I remember when HIMARS came to Ukraine, and Russians again were not ready for it, and then they conducted their logistics and troop trainings inside occupied Ukraine. And initially, the first month, where all of Russian logistics was just vulnerable, just ammunition piled on the ground, all of that went kaboom, bada bim, bada boom. It was beautiful to watch. Now that's all over again. Another instance, for example, last weekend, this 3 days has been such a fireworks. I'll just bring you the biggest attacks, and everything of it comes as a huge surprise for the Russians. Many Russian propaganda military channels wrote about a Russian convoy of military vehicles was attacked in the Kursk region near the border with Ukraine. Now again, this connects to the Western weaponry being used. I'm pretty sure this is HIMARS that took it out. According to them, this happened near Zucha. According to some Ukrainian sources, the column consisted of 18 units of equipment. As we can see, Russians were clustering together their vehicles, and men also, right across the Ukrainian border, because they knew they're untouchable. The Western powers are not allowing to hit us because, well, they're afraid of our red lines. Well, not anymore. boom, suddenly, from Friday, HIMARS can wreak havoc, and this is what happens. 18 units of equipment clustered together in a convoy only about 4 or 5 miles from the Ukrainian border. From one of the Russian sources, Kursk region, third year of the war, precise strikes to the head and tail of the column. Then the enemy hit the area. So this was a very planned ambush with HIMARS. Head and tail, and then in the middle, which is stuck now. Beautiful. Now, my friends, photos from the Russian 71st Motorized Rifle Regiment. This is an eye candy. Look at it. They are using motorcycles, as we know, to strike Ukrainian positions because they're fast and agile. And now with cope cages, because Ukrainian FPVs are faster than the motorcycles, and they've been known in many videos when they catch them and just blow them to bits. Well, now they have attached a cope cage to the motorcycle. I don't understand it, because the whole point of the motorcycle is being fast and agile. This cope cage pretty much renders it a Chinese golf cart, or, I mean, it makes it slow and heavy and not agile anymore. So you can pretty much use a car if you want. Why then use a motorcycle at all? I don't see the point in this. It's not a motorcycle anymore. It's a very weak car. It's a very weak armored personnel carrier. Anyway, looks funny. Just before the weekend, my friends, Russia and Ukraine swapped prisoners, and this is the first in many, many weeks. I don't even remember when the last time was. I've been covering them for a long time, and every time they look the same. Horrible. The prisoners who returned from Russia, underfed, starved, tortured, and they already, like some of them do, kiss the ground when they reach Ukraine. They're so glad. But 75 prisoners of war returned from Russia, among them 7 border guards and a mother who was at Azovstal, and a Mariupol police officer who also was at Azovstal. And this is her, Mariana Chechelyuk, a police officer in Mariupol, is among those freed. She was captured from the Azovstal bunkers, where she was with her family. The Russians first sent Mariana to the Donetsk SIZO and then sent to colony in Olenivka. She spent 2 years in captivity, before and after, as you can see, and of course this is also after. And we have a video about her also calling her mom from Ukraine for the first time. I want to watch that video with you. So after 2 years of being tortured and starved, you get back home to your homeland and you get to call your mother. Hello, yes?
Алло, мама, привет.
Hello, Mom. Mom, I'm home.
Мамочка, я дома.
Hi, my lovely and dear sunshine. We finally got to wait for this day, my little sunshine. I'm home, Mom.
Я дома, мама.
Finally, after 2 years, we heard you. Thank you, Mom, for waiting for me, for not leaving me.
Дякую, дякую, мама, що чекала на мене. Що не покинула мене. За ці 2 роки я вже... Как там бабушка?
As you can see, very emotional after 2 years of non-stop torture and starvation. Also, she's a pretty woman and they are Russian, so you can think about the rest. Arriving back to Ukraine and being able to talk to your mother, because they don't allow to call home at all in Russia. Yeah, this video speaks for itself. Also, this mother just returned from captivity. She was in Azovstal with the defenders to the very end, and now she gets to see her children over a very long time, 2 years, for the first time. The emotions and videos, they speak for themselves. I don't have to describe the captivity. The videos and the emotions and the eyes and the facial expressions, it describes it. This development is significant as, per Ukraine, Russia has been unwilling to exchange prisoners for several months. Many Ukrainian prisoners of war, including 900 defenders from Azovstal, are still held in captivity. Hopefully, Ukraine will be able to capture enough Russians to compel an exchange. Ukrainian prisoners of war are known to be tortured, at times even killed by the Russians. Now, Russians don't want to exchange the prisoners, of course, because they don't need their men back, because men are just meat for them. And they don't want to give Ukrainians their men back because they know that if Ukrainian soldiers return to homeland, they want vengeance. A huge portion of those returned from Azovstal, the captivity also, they eat for a few months, they gather their strength. I've spoken to many of them and they want to go back to fight. And these guys have memories from Russia. They have something to avenge for and they have something to fight for now. They're very dangerous and they're very good soldiers. They're very motivated and they're not afraid anymore because they have gone through the worst. So Russia giving these men back to Ukraine, I mean, this is why they don't want to do it, because they would be giving Ukrainians top elite soldiers with mental and physical preparedness to fight and kill without any problems. Kill the Russians, of course. So Russia doesn't want to give Ukraine these capabilities, and they really are assets. They're really assets. Now, my friends, May is the month that Russia opened the new front on the north of Kharkiv region. May is the month that the Western powers, for the first time, one by one, allowed their weapons to be used on Russian soil, with some exceptions before, of course. And May is the month which is the record in the losses of Russian artillery systems. 1,160, as you can see on this chart. Losses across all of the full-scale invasion. So, and it's not only artillery systems, it is also manpower losses. It is the record of all time. Now these losses here, 38,940 in May only, Russian personnel. It's wounded, it's missing, and it's killed, all combined, just taken out of actions. Insane casualties, and the biggest of 1 month of the whole full-scale invasion. And I'm sure it is connected to the opening of the new front, where the Russians were stopped 5 kilometers into the Ukrainian territory, and where Ukrainians very slowly are pushing them back now. And it is also connected to the Western weaponry being used on Russian soil, because a lot of casualties can come from the clusters of men that are not being dispersed, that are being trained on training grounds, 100 or 200 at the time in a very combined, closed area. And these hits are deadly. Now, my friends, I want to show you some memes, 2 of them. Bear with me, don't click away immediately. Some people don't like memes, but this is the truth. Czechoslovakia saved by Russia. Look at that. Saved by Russia, of course. Czechia occupied by the EU and the United States. And this is how it is. The Russians always say, oh, they're being forcefully occupied. Estonia is being forced into NATO. They don't even want to go. Latvia, Lithuania. Yes, but even the next meme actually explains it even better. Sweden joins NATO. Look at it. And Avdiivka joins Russia. Yes, all of the oblasts that Russia has occupied, all of the cities that they have occupied forcefully, all of them look like this. All of them. Destroyed, burned to the ground, empty. This is how Russia takes territory. This is how NATO, you cannot even say NATO takes territory because countries want to join NATO. It's rather than that some of them are not allowed to join because there's an entry process. And same with the EU. Not everybody gets in. It's a very VIP club. Now, my friends, we'll jump to Finland because, as we all know, one of the biggest purchases of the Finnish armed forces is the Air Force. Purchase of 60 F-35, that will be delivered to Ukraine within a few years. And now we get news that Finland will put the long-range JASSM-ER missile, the United States Lockheed Martin missile, to the F-35. They will buy the missiles. And what's up with this missile? Well, the range is 370 kilometers, which means Finland can shoot into Moscow. Of course, not that they should or they need to. Finland, as NATO, is a reactive force. They will not attack Russia. But if Russia were to attack Finland, then Finland has a capability to eliminate, with precision strike accuracy, all of the Russian military positions, clusters of men, even Russian Baltic fleet, for example, with these missiles immediately. So this drives up the cost of invasion for Finland or Estonia, Latvia many times. Moscow and St. Petersburg both in reach of one of the newest United States missiles, JASSM-ER. They are stealth. They have explosives of 450 kilograms, which is 10 times more powerful than the Shahed drone. It's a huge explosion. This is the one that takes down city blocks, not only buildings. It's massive, and Finland will have them on the best and most invisible fighter jets in the world, the F-35. So, very bad news for Russia. Ain't no way they're gonna invade Finland. Now, my friends, my favorite part of the video for the first time of this week, and this is the butchering of the Buy Me a Coffee monthly members. If you like my channel, this is the most direct and fastest way to support what I do for Estonia, for Ukraine, and just if you like my videos as entertainment, also the best way to do it. Monthly members are, and I'll be butchering the names to oblivion, Bob McKenzie, Jon, Dietrich Schmitz, Shavn L. Putnam at Sakha. What the hell? Robert Nicholson, James Roberts at Trigger Greve, Patrick Piensen, Richard Vietnam Vettpunkt, Ropt O. Ylakoma Sullivan. Damn crazy difficult names today. Anyway, you like the channel, you know what to do. Until my next video, my friends, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.